destiny. In my eyes where you lay asleep, holding on to one thing I can keep. Love. Passing flowing champagne skies, breathing essence from you tonight. Can't you see all the stars in our line? You begin to see where the lines go down. I'm ready. Where the lines go down, I'm ready. I'll get so impatiently, 'cause you're waiting so desperately. You're beginning to dream that you're alive. When the lights go down, are you ready? When the lights go down, are you ready? When the lights go down, when the lights go down, up and around. When the lights go down, are you ready? When the lights go down, are you ready? Are you
All right, everyone, welcome to the Rose777 channel. I am your host, Rose, and I am here with the wonderful Alphonse Faggiolo, coming to us from... Welcome, my friend. It is so great to see you. Thank you for coming on. I really do believe that this is probably the most important stream I have ever done, because I really want to help this community during this crazy time when everyone's being told that they're forced to wear masks. It's ridiculous and it's totally unlawful. And I really want people to know that they don't have to live in fear of a fine. In fact, we actually want fines. And we're going to explain why, because there's a very simple process for dealing with it, and you will never have to pay it. And I really would love business owners to catch on to this, because I'm willing to bet that there are some business owners out there that see through the nonsense, but they don't know what to do because they don't want their businesses to be shut down. They don't want to be fined, and then their employees lose their jobs. So they feel like they have to maybe force their employees to wear masks for the greater good when they don't have to. So we're going to cover a very simple process. It's basically paperwork. You don't need to get a lawyer if this happens. And right now, most police chiefs are saying they're not even enforcing this stuff. I have yet to have someone actually send me proof that they've gotten fined, but we really want to be prepared. And I think part of harnessing that whole "these are not the droids you're looking for" essence is to be confident. Now, this whole artificial world of legalities is so complicated, and you would be crazy to jump into implementing remedies if you don't know what you're doing. But we're going to share this information in a short video today so that you guys have the tools to keep looking further and to seek out advice from people who do know what they're talking about, who have done this before. And one of those people is Alphonse, and he has been a guest on Crow 777 Radio twice. The first time was episode 113, and the second one was 222, which was very recent, and that one is more relevant to the times that we are currently facing. I'm just going to go ahead and put those links into the chat right now, even though I did already put all of this into the description of this video. So here is episode 113 of Crow 777 Radio on YouTube, the first free hour. And then here is episode 222, putting it in the chat, of Crow 777 Radio. So go ahead, and if you haven't heard them, or even if you did, you might want to just listen to them again just to get this stuff in your mind, because we all need to be very confident. So I've got those two links in there, and then go into the description. And also, before we begin, Alphonse, tell me a little bit about the song that I played. That song, you gave it to me. You were the producer of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a band I actually put together, and the girl who's singing in that, she was on season 7 of the Voice. She got all 4 chairs to turn. Her name's Audra McLaughlin. But that band, I did 23 songs with them. Studio, I produced them. I engineered the project, put the band together, pieced it together. I had them set up. Was talking to labels. They were ready to go, and actually, I had a coexistence agreement with Ben Moody from who left Evanescence, because he was starting a new band. He was going to call them The Fallen. We had that name, international publication, so we had rights to the name. So we actually locked up a coexistence agreement, locking the names up. We were The Fallen, we were The Fallen. They were all set to go. And some dirtball attorney stuck his nose in everything and basically split the band up. So 2 years of work went drained. They had a pushing deal I just signed with Buno for Road Rules Extreme, Real World, and the Kardashians. They were all ready to go. I had the TV tracks ready to go out, which were all the TV tracks are. It's the music tracks without the vocals in them. Had them all ready to go. And I knew something was going on with this attorney. So he sat on my hands, and lo and behold, he blew the whole project up. So that's the short of what happened. So I'm not real fond of attorneys.
Yeah, and what I want everyone to know is that you don't need them, because if you get an attorney, you're basically admitting that you're an imbecile who's lost at sea and you're unable to defend yourself. They love to make you think that you need an attorney or you're going to go to jail. I don't even know if you knew this, Alphonse, but I was hit with 2 felonies in 2016, and I took out a cash advance on my only credit card to give $3,000 to my lawyer, who I was told I absolutely needed because I was so scared. And it was just to bring me to trial. Like, all the work he did was just if I was going to go to trial. And I kept thinking, like, I want to go to trial because I didn't do anything wrong, But of course, he was just convincing me to do all these things and pleas, and oh, it was such a nightmare. And if only I knew what I knew today. But anyway, let's move forward. I also have recently talked to someone who was arrested because of a whole mask incident. But unfortunately, the charges had nothing to do with the mask. It had to do with like resisting arrest and battery. It's an interesting story. But the point is that if you have a moment with a law enforcement officer, the worst thing you can do is argue. Just accept the fine, be polite, get the guy's name, and then we're going to deal with it later through the paperwork, because this is all unlawful and it can all be handled with just a few bucks. So I really want to impress Alphonse right now, and I did it a little bit. I tried to do this before we started, so I think I'm on the right track. But What did you say?
Real quick on what you just to show you the conflict of interest of everything. Just to show you what you were talking about, the conflict of interest with everything. The attorney is actually a member of the bar. He's actually an officer of the court. Well, the judge is an officer of the court. And
Great.
Your lawyer was an officer of the court. So the 3 people in this proceeding are all officers of the court. How do you get a fair trial when you've got 3 officers of the court? They're there for one reason, to cut a deal and to extract money out of your pocket. That's all that proceeding was about.
Yes, I was observing this because I love observing human behavior. And it was my first time in a court as someone involved. And I'm very smiley. And I just noticed that it was so dark. And so I was like, what is going on? What is this realm? And they're all walking up to each other and talking. And I just know that they're going to lunch together. You know what I mean? Like, I know that they're friends, and behind the scenes, they're just going through the motions and doing their jobs. They're button pushers. You know what I mean? They're just doing what they were taught in school to keep this artificial system going. But we are human beings, and that's why this video is about a legal remedy for human beings that are living in this artificial world. So let's say that you are lucky enough to get a fine for wearing a mask. Because I know Alphonse would be really excited, and so would I, because we would implement this. Alphonse, you look a little bit frozen, but that's okay. Hopefully you'll come back. Can I at least hear your voice? Oh. Okay, you're still with us, just a little bit latent. Okay, so if you get a fine, what you're going to do is you're going to create what's called an affidavit, and Alphonse is going to go through what that is. You're going to get it notarized for a couple of bucks, and you're going to send it through certified mail to the relevant party, and we'll discuss what that is. And because a legal fiction cannot respond and only a human being can, and no human being is going to take responsibility for the contents of the affidavit, they cannot respond. So you're going to put them in default, and you can go to a state district court and ask for a summary judgment. And because when they don't respond to your affidavit, it becomes a legal fact, and the judge has no choice, but they can't ignore you. They have to file that judgment, and then you can take it to the sheriff and enforce the 10 grand that you want. So if you're afraid of a $250 fine, don't be, because that $250 fine is a ticket to possibly 10 grand. Now, as an anarchist, I don't know how I feel about actually going to the sheriff and enforcing that money. This is more a spiritual thing for me, and I want to inundate the system with all this paperwork. Let's say they actually start doing this right off the bat. We all need to start filing this paperwork, and this stuff isn't going to be possible. They're not going to be able to keep doing it because it's unlawful. They can't get away with it when people know what they're doing. Okay, so I'm so excited, Alphonse. Where do you want to start with explaining all of this?
Yeah, with the money part of it, it's to me, it's never about the money. All the money is basically just a scare tactic to show them their liability. Hey, if you want to continue down this road, here's what you could lose. You know, so to me, it's never about the money. It's about the freedom. I just want them to leave me alone. Okay. The power of the affidavit, and it's the most basic thing, and it's the thing that it's something they should have taught you about in school when he taught you about freedom and about, you know, the Constitution. You're always, when they're interfacing with you, basically, they are treating you as legal fiction in a way. You don't know it, but basically what they're doing. So the whole birth certificate thing and the capital letter name, guess what? It's all true, but you can't come out and directly attack it. But you can attack it in your affidavit, sort of thing. You just make that go away. Basis of a couple include in the map, you're going to use our name in all caps in the top there. I'm going to stick it right back in their face. Okay, I'm going to use Alphonse and Faggiolo in all caps. Can't hear you. Lost your audio, Rose.
All right, you're cutting out a lot. I don't know if the chat is hearing you cut out, but would you turn off your camera, and maybe that will help with the latency? I'll do the same.
Sure.
Click stop cam, and then we'll be good to go, I think.
Yep.
And then just back up a few minutes.
Any better now?
Oh, well, now it's better. Maybe it's because
Okay.
I turned the camera. Okay.
Shut everything down here too. Okay. How about now? Any better?
It's a little bit better. You might want to hit stop camera under the screen with your face. Hit stop camera, and that might help. Okay.
I'm
cool.
shutting everything down, everything possible.
All right. We it looks like we sound great now. So go ahead and just back up a little
Okay.
bit.
All right. So the first document you want is your notice. And your notice is going to contain your contact information, your address, your phone number. And in the matter of your name, you're actually going to use your capital letter name and you're going to stick it right back in your face. You're going to put it right up in the upper left-hand corner. And you're going to say in the matter of with your capital letter name. And basically your notice is going to be a short synopsis what happened. You know, it was that you're filing this claim about, and that you're giving them proper notice, and you're actually making a formal claim against them for the actions set forth in your affidavit of fact, which is another document we'll create. But in this your notice, you want to list the respondents. Like there could be more than just a police officer or whoever you're filing this against. You could file a police officer. You could file it against the department he's with, the police department. You could file it to the Federal Order of Police. He's a member. They're the ones that sort of certify him to act. So you can decide how many respondents you want to file this against. So and the main thing is when you sign this notice, you're always going to sign it. You're going to sign it. You're going to state that you're the responsible party and the holder in due course. And all that statement does is basically saying, I'm the man. I'm not that fiction over there. I'm the man. I'm the person that controls whatever's going on with this account, whatever you guys got set up. I'm the person that controls this. So you always want to sign your document, responsible party and holder in course. Put your name there.
Okay.
Providing your notice for them, and basically what I'll do is I'll put you pick your time frame. You could use 72 hours, you could use 5 days, 10 days, whatever you want to use. Tell me you have 72 hours to rebut my affidavit point by point, and you fail to rebut my affidavit point by point. You tacitly agree, means they agree to whatever's in there, that my affidavit of fact is true, and you agree to pay me $5,000, $10,000, whatever you want to use for the damages that they've caused you, as set forth in my affidavit. And we'll go forward, David, and state, you know, the things they call stress, you know, anxiety, loss of sleep, loss of appetite. You still with me, Rose?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Rose?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, I just want to make sure. I want to make sure I'm talking there. Okay. And very important on this document, you want to put the certified mail number on this document. You want to have it on this document. And you can go to the post office and get a certified mail receipts and the green cards that go with them. And on the receipts, you're going to have the certified mail number. You want to put that on your document. Because actually, when this gets served to them and it's signed for, the Postmaster General actually becomes your process server. Just like if you hired somebody to go serve a lawsuit to somebody, this green card to serve as a process server. So you want to put that certified mail number in there. So that's your one document, your notice. Your most important document is your affidavit of fact. Your affidavits can only contain facts. You can't use opinions and speculations. So you want to accomplish four things with your affidavit of fact. You want to assert what your tax is. And we'll go into more detail about that. Like maybe I could upload a document at another time. It'll actually spell out what tax is, just letting them know here's who I am. Bang, bang, bang. I'm not basically you're stating in a way, I'm not this legal fiction. I'm a flesh and blood man. And you're stating where your rights come. Your rights don't come from written instruments called statutes. They come from your creator. And you can back that up if you look at the preamble of your state constitution. Every state constitution preamble basically states that your rights come from your creator. So I like to stick that in their face and stand on that. That my rights are not coming from this court, from this statute, from anybody. My rights come from my court. So you want to state what status is. You want to show what they were supposed to do. Hey, here's what you were supposed to do in this incident, and here's what you did. Here's the conflict. And then you state their actions, or your account. If you're a business and you're writing this, well, that business is part of your estate. If it has something to do with your home, that estate. If it has to do with you for like a mask violation or something, well, that sort of has to do with your account, your all cap name account. So you just state that basically that they've compromised your account. And you can tell them why, through loss of reputation, embarrassment, loss of business, mental anguish, stress, nervousness, lack of sleep, loss of appetite. And no one can ever question your and testify to your state of mind. Only you can testify to your state of mind. So if you put your state of mind in an affidavit and say, hey, here's the damages you caused me, nobody can come back and say, I didn't cause you this, I didn't cause you that, because they don't know your state of mind. So that's sort of a catch-22. It puts them in a corner. You also want to make sure that that certified mail number is on your affidavit. You want to put the certified mail number on all your documents. You want that on all your documents. Then what you're going to do, which a lot of people miss, is we're going to do another affidavit. It's a real basic affidavit. It's called an affidavit of oath. And all an affidavit of oath says basically, I, Alphonse Faggiolo, swear that my affidavit of fact, dated, whatever the date is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And you get that notarized. And what that document does is basically an affidavit is just an out-of-court statement that someone's willing to swear to. It still can be contested. We're just pushing it one step down the line by doing the affidavit of oath and attaching it to it, because when you do that affidavit of oath, your affidavit of fact actually becomes court testimony. Okay, now it can be challenged, but you've really put them in a bind. Basically, not only submitted an affidavit, you backed it up with an oath. That's like you getting on the stand in court and swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So now you've put them in a bind. So you've got your paperwork. What you want to do is you want to bind them all together, mail them to the respondents. If you got one respondent and maybe the police department, whatever you decide, however many people you want to move against. And you always want to send your certified mail signature required. Now, there's two processes. They can do certified mail and it's just electronic confirmation that it was delivered. You don't want that. You want somebody to sign that document. You need that document signed, because that completes the process of service. Now that green card should get mailed back to you, showing you who signed for it. And if that green card doesn't come back to you, then somebody's playing games with you because they're afraid of their wet signature being turned to you. And if you can't get it, then you go to the post office and you file a complaint because that green card doesn't come back to you. Since somebody's playing games, if that green card's not coming back to you, play games, and it's happened a lot with people I've heard, is that wet signature is dangerous, because if they signed for that and that green card comes back to you, that's process service. They can't stay about it. So you always want to do, signature required. Now, most likely, they're going to default. If you give them 72 hours, 10 days, they're going to default. So you're just going to basically send another short little document. That's going to be a notice of default. Hey, I sent you a notice on this date. You never responded. Extend the time period 72 more hours. Should you fail to rebut my affidavit within 72 hours, basically he's got to rebut your affidavit one way or the other. They just can't let it sit there. If he fails to rebut your affidavit, you tell him, you stating that you're going to be basically filing an application with the state court concerning your estate. It's always your estate. You're always talking about estate because you're in Congress. You're doing your not law. This has nothing to do with law as we thought about it. Constitutional law, rights and wrongs, crimes. This has nothing to do with that. Everything from a traffic ticket to property taxes is commerce, because you're interfacing with legal. That's a tech term for their legal fiction. Legal fiction can't interface with a man or woman. So that's why they've created this false persona, this capital letter, the name that you have, so that they can claim that they're interfacing with you. If they default after that 72 hours, now you've got that notary, just to let you know, that's a court-appointed officer. She's just as much. Okay? So she has just as much power as a judge to a certain degree. So if you've got certified documents from her that they defaulted on, now you go into court and you do an application, an application for a declaration in the matter of your estate. And you also state in all capital letters in the upper top, in the matter of your all cap name, supporting your affidavits, green card you have, because that's your process of service. You then sign it as the responsible party at the bottom. You sign it as your upper lowercase name, but you sign it as the responsible party and holder in due course, and sign your name in upper lowercase. Remember, the judges can only make rulings when there are facts in dispute. By the other party defaulting and not answering your affidavit, there's no facts in dispute. It's called tacit law. By them not, they've agreed to the terms, okay? Binding agreement or contract at that point. Once you have a signed judgment, you can record it against the other party by actually filing it in the county recorder's office against their estate. So if they try and compromise your estate and you get a judgment, now you go file a county recorder and you compromise their estate. And if you want to follow through with it, you'll check their process, like we can go through that later. You'll basically take it to the sheriff and get him to enforce that judgment. And this is not a made-up process. This is the exact same process they use on you for traffic tickets, property taxes, for everything. So this just doesn't have to relate to not wearing a mask. This is used on every interface you have with government. That affidavit's powerful to the point where if you get a traffic ticket, first thing I would file, instead of trying to most that people do, first thing you want to do is you want to go down and create an affidavit for it costs about $5. Go down and create an affidavit. Now you got an affidavit. You state who you are, your status, and you state what happened in the cop, and you file it with the court, and you send a copy to the cop or the prosecutor, whoever they assign. And when you walk in court, there's nothing to be squabbled over until that affidavit's responded to by the other side. They can't respond to it. The prosecutor can't respond to it. He's got no personal knowledge of anything. He can't challenge your affidavit. The cop can try and challenge your affidavit, but what he sees in your affidavit, he's not going to be able to challenge because they're unchallengeable facts. He's operated on all presumptions. And what your affidavit does is it takes all his presumptions away, and then it makes it back, and he has to prove by fact that he had this right to do this thing to you, whether it's to give you a citation for not wearing a mask or for speeding. Once you bring it down to an affidavit, there's nothing there for that judge to do. Sir, we don't need to proceed any further until my affidavit's responded to. These are the facts of the case. This is what they don't want you to know about. They don't want you to know that affidavits kill fictions. I mean, that's the best way I could put it. Affidavits kill fictions. Because instead of trying to talk to these people, when you're in court and you're trying to talk to them, they're still treating you like the legal fiction that they have subject matter jurisdiction over. When you file your paperwork in this kind of process and you state who you are, you have it supported by an affidavit, now they can't treat you like, because an affidavit, that's basically one of the laws of commerce, is an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth, stands as law. So until that affidavit is rebutted, it is the law of whatever the matter is, whether it's a traffic ticket or a face mask violation. So that's pretty much the basic process. It's not that complicated. Once you get the steps down, you can use it on everything. Does that make sense, Rose?
Oh, yeah, it makes sense to me. I've been obsessing over this for a while and, really thinking about, how I'm really looking forward to trying to implement this and show people that it works. Could you tell me where have you implemented this before, and have you seen many successes in different areas?
I'm about to drop it on the county for a huge amount of money because I got them in assessment fraud. The assessments they created, that they're fraud. No one has personal knowledge. If no one came in your house and inspected your house, there are no property assessments because nobody could walk into court and testify that the data on those things they're calling assessments, which aren't assessments, are factual. Nobody has personal knowledge of that. So if you're creating data on a document that you don't have personal knowledge of, you're committing fraud. Okay, and you're committing fraud for financial gain for your company and for the county. That's fraud from, any day of the week. That's fraud. It's unanswerable. It's so bad for them that they never, if you really move this in the federal district court against for a civil rights violation under like a Title 42, Section 1983, that document that they have that they're calling an assessment, it's inadmissible. Can't be used because it's hearsay, because nobody has personal knowledge of the data on that document. Can't be brought into the case. Unless somebody's going to come into the case and state as a witness, they have personal knowledge that all the data on there is true and accurate. They don't have a case. That takes the whole structure. And that's one of the powerful things with these affidavits is you take apart their argument, but you do it by fact. You can't do it by conjecture. Like when I go against them, I could state these assessments are fraudulent. There's nobody that can testify to these assessments. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. And I actually cornered one of the assessors and asked her, I said, hey, if I bring you in federal district court, can you testify that you have personal knowledge of that assessment thing you created there? And she said, well, I can attest to that I have to the best of my knowledge. And I said, that don't count. You can't qualify to be a witness. That means everything you created there is fraud, and you can't testify to it. So you basically take the fraudulent process. You take the fraud processes that they're using against you, and you stick it to David fact that they can't rebut. And when they don't rebut it, your affidavit becomes truth. And if anybody keeps coming after you, you got an affidavit that's not rebutted. You got a green card, and if you're smart, you'll go to state court and get a declaratory judgment, which basically just the judge saying, "Yep, he's got a judgment in this. They defaulted." And the one guy, there's a couple guys have used. There's a guy I sent you the link to the one guy, Sam Gross. He's a master of this. I mean, you listen to see the stuff he did. He's a master of this. And gotten kids in Child Protective Services with an affidavit where they don't even want to sign paperwork to release the kids. They tell the parents, go get your kid. And when they show up to get their kid, there's no paperwork. They just give them the kid because they don't want their names on anything. Because he's got an affidavit in his hands. He's a dangerous guy because his affidavit is fact. And it's the same thing you do. Like you said, this is not a process we've made up. This is the same exact process that they use against us. This is what they do to us. But if you don't pay your property taxes, they're going to give you a notice through certified mail, and you're never going to find a name on that certified notice. Nowhere is there a name because nobody wants to take responsibility or liability for that junk that they're sending you. But if you don't respond by the date they give you, you tacitly agree to it, and it becomes a fact. And the way you counter that with garbage is you go use this affidavit process against them. You go, hey, by the way, I'm now filing the same process that you used on me. I'm filing against you. A couple differences here. Mine is backed by an affidavit, and it's backed by an affidavit of oath. So you got to get somebody from your company there, your municipal corporation, to step up and respond to the affidavit, or I'm going to get a summary judgment against you. Game over. If you go through your process, don't worry about what they do. You got your process. You just move through your process. Who cares what they respond? If they send you stuff that's not an affidavit and they're trying to argue with you, just keep moving through your process. Default them. I'm still waiting for my response to my affidavit. I've yet to receive this response. I'm gonna take this to state court and get a summary judgment. You just work through your process. Let them do what they want to do. You can only control your actions. You can't control them. But you use your word. The power of your word is very mighty, and they don't want you to know that. That's why stuff from you.
Yeah. And they will try to bully you, and they will try to scare you. And that's all they can do. This is all fear and suggestion. And that's what's going on right now. It's all fear and suggestion. Where I am, nobody's getting fines. Not even the police officers are wearing masks. So right now we're just preparing ourselves for the possibility that they might be doing this. I don't know if anybody in chat here can confirm that they've received a fine, but I have not seen any proof of anyone I know getting one. So it's been 35 minutes and I actually have another stream coming up. Alphonse, you remember Kelsey, my first video on my channel? Did you see my
Is that the Flat Earth Smackdown?
Yeah, with Kelsey, my best friend. We're gonna go after her sister, Bailey. They're together in California. Okay. So I'm really excited about that.
Has she flipped yet? Is she still around baller, Kelsey, or has she flipped yet?
Oh no, Kelsey's a full-fledged flat earther now, and she won't stop talking about it, and she's driving everyone crazy, and so she just wants her sister to join the light side with us.
Is Dave in on this one too?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want everybody to digest this information, revisit your episodes on Crow 777 Radio, hit me up for questions, and we can come back here maybe with a template document and share it with everyone. What do you think?
And yeah, definitely. And real quick, here's all we're doing. There's two law. There's judicial law and there's commerce law. All right. They rarely can ever deal with us in judicial law because they have to file a normal complaint against you with a valid cause of action, and they have to have an injured party. They never have an injured party. They're a fiction. So they'll never move against you judicially. They always move against you in commercial law, administrative process. And you hear like administrative hearing, administrative courts. These are courts of commerce. So all they're doing is using this process against you, and you didn't realize what they were doing to you. Now you got the power. You turn it around and you flip it on its head, and you serve it right back to them, and you support yours with affidavits, and you put them in a catch-22 they can't get out of. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much. We all appreciate this. I just want to shout out to everyone on Facebook. If you want to share this video, just come over to my YouTube channel and grab it, Rose777. And I hope that we share this far and wide to start empowering people not to live in fear. This is all based on fear and suggestion. And personally, I would hope that I get a fine because I want to be the first one to implement this so I can show people my successes. I know a lot of people would be very scared to do this. But we're, as truthers, we need to be the people on the front lines, the real front lines against this artificial world that seeks to enslave us. So with that being said, much love to you all. I hope you have a wonderful day.